We can help to lower anxiety by little and large daily activities. Hello, friend. If you're new here, my name's Zach, and I'm an anxiety management coach. Today, we're going to cover not 5, but 10 simple anxiety-reducing activities that you can do today to reduce your anxiety. Let's discuss them. Number 1, exercise. Exercising and moving our body is a good way to reduce our anxiety. It has positive effects on our brain, and it has positive effects just in the fact of having to breathe heavy reduces anxiety. So if you want to know what exercise to do, just get out of breath, and that'll help you. You won't be able to think about your problems. No, it's a good thing. In fact, each time I exercise, the world is a little more calm for a moment. I'm sure if you look at your exercise in your life, when you exercise, you're mentally stronger. It's just the reality of how we're wired. Number 2, a healthy diet. You can pick several different diets. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but make it simple. And here's a simple one. Avoid processed foods and sugar as much as possible. You don't need to be perfect, but if you avoid these things, it will help lower cortisol, which is a stress hormone in our body. Number 3, reduce screen time. Screens can cause us to get in these anxious states, especially if screen time is social media time. And in our social media time, we can't help it. We start comparing. What do they have and why do I not have it? Those are the 2 dominating thoughts that kind of just creep in. So when we reduce our screen time, we can reduce our anxiety because we're reducing the comparison game. We're also reducing those things that really don't fill us. Like watching a movie, watching TV, totally fine. I enjoy that. But even if I watch my favorite thing to watch, which is football, and I watched it all day on a Saturday, let's just say hypothetically, that's most of my fault. At the end of the day, I don't go, oh, I'm so filled up and energized to live life to the fullest. No, we're drained, tired even, maybe even more tired. See, screen time is fine, but you probably need to reduce it. In fact, I have on my phone, I have a counter of how much I'm looking at my phone, which apps are on, all that other stuff. It's pretty sobering when you look at your week. Here's a little tip to control that screen time. What you measure improves. So simply by having an app like that on your phone where you're looking at the amount of screen time you are participating in, it'll help you. Number 4, self-care. What do you need? Like the activity of looking at what you need and then giving it to yourself. See, oftentimes we can fixate on what we need others to give to us. That's not what I'm talking about in this moment. I'm talking about the activity of what you need and getting it yourself. Do you need to take a nap? I do most days I'm not working. I love me a nap. So did Jesus too. So apparently it's me following in his footsteps. Do you need to have coffee with a friend? Are you feeling lonely? What do you need? Not what do you want? Those are separate. I want a lot. But there's things that we actually need. And then giving it to yourself. Number 5, spending time with quality people. See, anxiety tends to isolate us, separate us from others. Or we can give all of our time to people that are not quality to us. And what I mean by quality is this. When you leave being with that person, do you feel filled up? All of your relationships don't need to be this way, but some do. Like you can give, but you also need to be receiving. And when we're all giving in our relationships and there's no receiving, there's no checking in, am I filled up? It can lead to further anxiety. Number 6, saying no. Okay, having boundaries really helps reduce our anxiety. If I'm honest though, saying no increases my anxiety. It's kind of like a dang if you do, dang if you don't. Here's the thing. If you say no, the more unfamiliar you are in telling people no in a proper way, the more that's going to be anxiety inducing for you. But the cost of not doing that is a greater anxiety down the line. Have you gotten in these points where you're overscheduled and undernourished? Yes. That's because you're not saying no. Sometimes saying no and having a boundary is saying no to myself. Saying no to that screen time. Saying no to, for me, practically speaking, the chips and salsa that I love to just pound in my face when I'm anxious. Like saying no and having a boundary there will help reduce anxiety, even if you get a little more anxious in the short term. Number 7, spend time in nature. There's been a ton of studies that I'm not going to recite here, but just talk about the anxiety reducing impact of nature. I believe, as a Christian, I believe that nature points to the handiwork of God. And that is one of the reasons why it makes us less anxious. In fact, if I want to feel God's presence, being in nature alone is one of those things that I do on a regular basis. If you live in the country like I do, this is an easy thing for you to get in nature. But if you live in the city, all cities have green spaces. Go to those spaces where you can be in as much nature as possible. It'll help reduce your anxiety. Number 8 is 2-1 breathing. If you're unfamiliar with this, we'll just do it here real quick. But all 2-1 breathing is pick one number and double it. And on the one side, you're going to breathe in. On the doubling side, you're going to bring out. So I'm going to pick 2 and 4 and do it with you. We're going to breathe in and breathe out. Reducing our breath and having more out than in will reduce our anxiety. Please don't pick 20 or a high number. You're going to have a totally different problem. But pick a low number, whether that's 2 or 3, pick it and go with it and try it. Anytime I get anxious, this is one of the first steps I do. Number 9, prayer. Usually breathing and prayer are combined for me. I start by controlling my breathing, by doing that 2-1 breathing technique. But then I just pray to God, just talking with Him. Talking with the one that created us drastically reduces our anxiety. Because I'm talking to the one that has everything, including me, in the palm of His hands. Everything. Makes me feel small in a good way. And reminds me He controls it all. And I don't need to worry. And speaking of that, that's number 10. This is called benevolent detachment. This is a daily activity that can reduce your anxiety. Benevolent detachment purely means kindly letting go. So you're holding on to these worries and cares, and there's a way to let it go. And if you're wondering how to do that, I like to follow 1 Peter 5:7. Watch this video right here, and I'll explain it to you. Have a great day, and God bless you on your journey.